Hello, how are you guys? How are things going? Let me turn this thing down over here because I could hear myself echoing and it's kind of annoying. All right, so how are you? Thank you for joining me on this Monday afternoon. All that kind of situation. Yeah. So yeah, I'm starting this new series. It's kind of like a DIY thing. Let's see, let me correct this right here. It's DIY. And honestly, I want to hit all aspects of DIY. I'm not talking just e-liquids. I'm talking coils, modders, all that kind of situation. Because, I mean, DIY means do it yourself. So it entails a lot of things. And I want to, like, hit every last broadness of the spectrum. And I don't know. It's one of those weird things I've been thinking about. Do I just want to do juices, mixes, learning about mixing and things like that? But you know what? There's more that goes into it, like making your own coils. That's a DIY thing, especially because you could go out and buy coils. You could come to my shop and buy coils. You could go to Turk. You could go to Turd, and you could get coils. But if you're like a hands-on kind of guy or a person, you know, you just like doing things for yourself, DIY. You know what I mean? Making mods. I mean, Mark is an amazing builder. Seriously, the dude makes some amazing boxes. If you haven't gotten a hammer before in your hands, you need one, because the dude makes some amazing stuff. And he's just a dude that just loves to work with his hands. And he decided, you know what, I could do that. And he figured out how to make a DNA box. And then he was challenged to do the hammer, which is a parallel 21700 box. And from there, he's grown. And I mean, if you were to actually see the Warlock family of boxes, I think he's up to like 5 or 6 at this point, because he's got the hammer, the guardian, the dagger, the ember, and I know you could get like a stack in a box, which is this in series. So, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, you know. Let me see. Nothing more satisfying than when you mix something that is to your taste. Oh yeah, dude, no kidding, dude. That's the thing. Like when it comes to e-liquids, which is something that I personally can talk about, the reason I got into DIY was like back in, I want to say 2015. I was looking at buying e-juices and they were just a little too expensive for my liking. And why, you know, I didn't really want to pay that much for a 30 mil. I think I was paying like 25 bucks a 30 mil, which sounds ridiculous by today's standards, but you got to keep in mind, like back in 2015, you weren't going through juice as much as you do now. The big setups, the big Cloudsboro Cloud stuff wasn't really a predominant thing. You were still dealing with like little itty bitty tanks that barely ate up juice and things like that. So yeah, that's just a little bit about me kind of thing. We're going to talk about it a little bit more here in a bit, but yeah, I was going to do like basic live show stuff. What I've been vaping, obviously hammer. In that I have a DIY juice from Mr. Overdrip. It's the Overdrip's Custy. It's a custard flavor, and not gonna lie to you guys, I've been telling him that since he lives in Canada, he probably could bottle this shit up and sell it on some site, on his own site, or through a distributor. I don't know, whatever he's planning on doing, but the bro needs to get on it. Just amazing stuff. Next, we're gonna go with the Ardent Dreamer 6 of 10 LE black button DHD drip tip. In that, I got my own DIY turned semi-commercial Mr. J's Vapor Solution Blue Sin. So it's my favorite, honestly. Out of all the juices that I make, that is my number one. I know I've been getting a lot of praise over the Mint Me, which I am happy about, because that's like my least favorite juice. You know what I mean? Blueberry goodness. And lastly, we're gonna finish with another Warlock mod. We got the Axial Warlock's Guardian, the DNA 250C edition. And in that, I have Nightshade from the Gathering Vapor Lounge, which Mark and his wife, they make some amazing juice too. If you guys haven't picked any up, go to, try not to burp here, go over to his Facebook and just hit him up. The dude has this long list of stuff you can look at. I mean, I have another one right here. It's called Blue Goblin. It's their blue raspberry. So if you're looking for some blue raspberry, then Nightshade is the Mountain Dew Pitch Black, which, dude, he did an amazing job, not gonna lie. I've been trying to contain myself from finishing this all in one fell swoop. But yeah, all right. I'm gonna do some shout outs real quick. Let's see who we got here. Start from the very top. The user abuser. I know he said he was gonna stop by if he had time. I appreciate you coming by, brother. Erica Vapes. Awesome moderating team right there. Texas Cloudtown. How are you, friend? Marseilles. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Marseilles Evening. I'm guessing you're out of the UK, maybe? I don't know, because here it's still like broad daylight. Unless, what is it? How people dialect changes from place to place. Ravens Shadow Vapes, how are you? Chris Meldrum, what's up? Chris Snyder, Mr. Overdripped himself. Again, Canada, just bottle that shit up. Mike, the shifter knob ape. How are you, dude? How you doing? Let's see. Slim Daddy Vapes, I saw you in here somewhere. There you are. Cool. Like you're like hidden in between my messages like to people and stuff. Oh yeah. All right. So, yeah, all right. Cool. Awesome stuff. So, we're going to do this. Oh yeah, there is the user abuser's still here. All right. I'm the guy that won the giveaway in New York. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, you won the wolf bite giveaway. Marseilles. Dope. All right, so we're gonna do a little bumper thing right now, and then we'll talk some DIY, some things like maybe ins and outs. If you guys got any questions, post them right now. Yeah, I got a bumper made out just for that little bit because I am that crazy. All right, so THC vape. Okay, so like first question, what is my opinion on THC vape? I don't know, honestly. It's one of those weird things of like it seems like an eventual evolution in all reality, because it's kind of like how tobacco is evolving into vape. It feels like an eventual evolution. I just feel their industry, seeing what they're doing and things like that, because, you know, I keep up with certain things. Seeing what they're doing, they can ruin it for everybody if they are not aware of what they're doing and things like that, like what situation it could create. Because, I mean, again, we're having the whole kids issue, like, not to like get into advocacy talk, because I'm just trying to have fun with this, but at the same time, kids get into things, and if they start getting into THC vapes, it kind of gets the gun pointed back at us, because everybody assumes that vaping is just vaping. There's no other things going on in vaping, and vaping is a very all-encompassing term when it comes to what is actually put into it. That's a whole different situation, you know, like how it's done, what's in it, two different things, and it could create an issue for us, because if I like with edibles, it's become an actual problem, because like some people don't realize that if you just take like a small bite out of an edible, you just wait for it to hit. Instead, they just keep eating and eating, thinking that it's going to be an instantaneous thing, because of like, it is a very instant gratification type of thing. But in edibles, it's not. It has to build up in your metabolism, it has to work its way up. With vaping, I assume it probably would be a lot more quicker. Because, I mean, if you wake up in the morning and you take like a 50 milligram pod hit, you know that's going to hit really hard, because it's done it to me where I'm like, oh, there's the nicotine. Hello, dear friend. And it's one of those weird things of they just have to watch what they're doing, who they're selling to, who's getting a hold of their products. And it's just one of those weird things of like looking at it from an industry standpoint, it can create more complications. But that's just my take on it. All right, Marseilles says, first step in DIY juice mixing. All right, a lot of it falls into looking up tutorials. Safety, lots of safety. Please exercise every safety measure you can. Wear gloves. I have a couple of DIY videos on my channel that you guys check out, but I do not wear gloves on any of them, and I feel like that is bad practice. But I've been doing this for so long that I just don't have issues like that. So, but getting nicotine on your skin can become a very, very sick fun experience. Like, it'll make you sick, but at the same time, it's like it gives you this nicotine rush you'll never ever feel any other way, but you have to be careful with it. You know what I mean? Let me see. Looking up any tutorial will help you out, honestly. DIY or Die, the dude knows his stuff. Fresh 03, the dude knows his stuff. They actually have some really good tutorials. DIY, what I like about him, DIY or Die, Wayne, what I like about his videos is that he actually goes into like a full explanation on why certain, like, I keep hitting my mic stand, why certain like flavors work the way they do, why you got to steep some and you don't, and that kind of situation. I kind of have a basic understanding of all that, but it just turns into one of those things, you know. Let's see, I'm gonna look through the things here. Oh yeah, first steps, know what you're looking for. Like, if you have a basic idea of what you're looking for, at least for your first DIY, you're not going to spend a ton of money on like flavorings, on kits. And it's one of those things of like, know what you're looking for, and that way you could save yourself some time and money. Also, get a good e-juice calculator. Like, I know Overdrip does it all by calculations and stuff. The dude knows his math. But if you're more like me, or math is not really a good, like, is not your strong suit, look up a good e-juice calculator. There's several apps that you can get for it. I know on the Coil app for Android, they actually have a DIY section on there where you can mix juices through there. You can go to e-liquids.com, I think it is. I'd have to look up I'll put a link down below for you guys, and you guys can see what I'm talking about. But they actually have a lot of good recipes on there that you could try as a beginner thing. And they could, like, it could give you a basic idea of what you're looking for here. Hopefully you guys can still hear me. All right, let me see. There it is. Okay, I just posted the link for it for you guys in the chat. If you guys want to go check that out, they actually have a lot of stuff on there that you guys can look at recipes. If you even type in like a flavoring type, it'll pull out every last recipe that has that flavoring in it, and you can even get an idea how much percentage you need to put in, and that kind of situation. I will say, for a beginner thing, using syringes isn't a bad idea, but in the long run, I would recommend try using by weight. By weight seems to be a lot cleaner. It's a lot faster. You don't mess with things as much. Like, I tried the whole syringe thing for a long time, and when I first got my first scale, it worked out perfectly fine. It was a lot easier, and I dealt with a lot less. So it made my life that much better, you know? Yeah, I wouldn't go that far, Slim Daddy. I know some things. I just, like, there's always that one thing I don't know. Let's see. Where was I? Who was, oh, okay. Yeah, there it is right there. There's like Raven's Shadow Vapes. Who was some of the first DIYers you watched at the beginning to learn about making e-liquid? There was this dude out of England, and I could not find him to save my life. I've been trying to find his video for the longest time. But the dude, like, he helped me out quite a bit. Wayne was another guy that I watched back when I first started, because he has been around forever. It's insane how long he's been around for. I mean, I'm glad his stuff is going to where, like, you could actually buy like shots of his recipes and just mix them up yourself and do that, like the watermelon thing that Grim Green seems to like. Let me see, man, I agree, but here in my area, people vape spice, research chemicals, and all just cold pressed oils, and they get you insane high. Okay, back to the other question. Let me see. DIY rule number 1, clean it again. Yeah, seriously, try to make sure all your equipment is clean after every use, because you don't want to contaminate, especially like flavorings and stuff. If you want to like switch over to something else, you don't want to contaminate and all that kind of situation. Let me see what else. What is blam? Always see Nick with that hat. Oh, that's Blaz. It's just because this is mirror image, it's Blaz. It's actually Nick Bissett's e-liquid company. If you guys haven't tried his juice, pretty good stuff. I got a Blaz mango right here. Pretty good, pretty good. What's up, Mr. Swaggins? I just saw you sneak in there. Train Sonic, how are you? Let me see. Start simple, don't go after kiwi dragon fruit tea. Try a solid, straightforward forward profile. Work your way up, not waste flavorings. Yep, pretty much that's it right there. I will say, whenever you're making a juice or a mix, start out small. Like, I mean, depending on what your base is, if it's a concentrate or not, because most of the ones I get are not concentrates, you could start off at like 5% and work your way down. Anything, like most DIY videos will recommend like 10 down. I personally say 5 down. Because if you make anything that strong, just it like will tear you up. Like it becomes, you can make something very delicious out of very little amounts of like percentages and stuff like that. So it makes life that much more easier. And all that kind of situation. Let me see. Blaz. Daily Vape TV. Yep. Nick Bissett, Daily Vape TV. By weight is more accurate as well. Yeah, that's another one. By weight, you actually get exact numbers. Like, you don't get one bottle that comes out one way and another one that comes out differently. With the needles, depending on, that's the thing with syringes, you tend to like have to go by manufacturer at that point, because every like buddy puts the dashes wherever they kind of feel like it. It kind of becomes a free-for-all when it's all that. So it can be a little bit of an issue, you know. I do recommend, maybe if you're gonna do like a tester, you do make like a 15 ml bottle. Don't try to be ambitious and make like a 30 ml for your first try, or like a 50, or I mean a 60 ml. Because those, if you mix it and you let it steep or what have you, and you just hate it, you just wasted a lot of material. Don't go for like these giant bottles. If you don't know what it tastes like initially, you want to let it steep, you want to let it age and all that kind of thing. Like when it comes to like fruit flavors, those are pretty much like shaken vapes. If it's a straight fruit flavor, like my fruit basket, I could seriously mix you up a bottle right now and you could vape it right away. It gets better with age. Personally, I'd rather wait like another week or so. But, you know, that's another thing. Like, you know, you got, like with creams, you got to go, let it steep, let it sit around for a while. And patience is the name of the game when it comes to DIY e-liquids. A lot of them take a lot longer to develop. A lot of them take, like, if you actually were to buy a group, if you could even go through my video library on the DIY stuff. I did like a sniff test on a bunch of flavors I got in. Most creams smell really disgusting when you get them, but they age really well when you mix them in with your e-liquids with the nicotine. And that's another one you got to keep in mind. Your nicotine does affect the flavor of your e-liquid. The more nicotine you have, the more like that throatiness will be, but that like nicotine flavor will be in there. It's a really hard flavor to describe. Like if you have really bad nicotine or like old nicotine, it'll taste like pepper. And at that point, I recommend you throw it away. But depending on how much nicotine you're using, if you're making like if you were to make a 3 versus a 6, they're going to taste completely different, even though everything else is the same in your thing. It's just that nicotine does make that much of an effect. You know what I mean? Let's see. Flavora is a pretty good company. Yeah, I like them. They make some pretty good stuff. You could start for $50. Yeah, you could really start very low amounts, because honestly, if you were to buy like, say like a half a liter of VG, like half of that in PG, depending if you want to be like 70-30 or if you need a 50-50 blend, that's a whole different situation. There are some companies that actually will sell those to you pre-mixed to an 80-20, 70-30, or a 50-50. It's just more up to you, which would you rather do, if you want to mess with it a little bit more or a little bit less. It just turns into one of those things. Nicotine. Oh, whoa, Breeze Tones. How are you, man? I'm just seeing high Breeze Tone all over the place. Yeah, when it comes to like nicotine, keep in mind the lower the milligram per milliliter that's in that, the more you're going to use up. So like for me, cost effectively, I would look at it as like 100 per milliliter, 100 milligram per milliliter, will be a lot more cost effective because you won't use a whole lot. But if you're not mixing a ton of stuff, you could go lower than that and you'll be perfectly fine. It's more what you're looking for and how much you're wanting to spend. You know what I mean? Like me, I started mixing in volume, started making a ton of stuff all at once. So for me, the most cost effective was the 100 milligram per milliliter. Yeah, you can buy VG at Walmart. You just gotta be careful and make sure it's like the 100% kosher stuff. Otherwise, you might make yourself sick and things like that. Personally, I'd rather go to a like authorized vendor and stuff like that specializes. But in a pinch, the stuff from Walmart will work, because I've seen several people do it and they're happy with it. Just make sure it's 100% kosher. Let's see. Very simple mix is 4% vanilla custard with VG and vanilla pudding, or a single fruit mix, even 2 flavors. There you go. Somebody's already throwing out some recipes for you guys, so you guys can check that out and see how that comes out. That's awesome. Awesome stuff. There are some great kits. Yeah, there are some great kits on DIY or Die. I know Nicotine River, you could actually buy kits, like starter kits, and I think they're like $30, something like that. And they come with plenty of stuff. I just personally, I don't know if you want to mess with those, especially if they don't have anything that you're actually going to want to vape. And that just turns into another thing. TFA, or the Flavors Apprentice, or the Perfumer's Apprentice, whichever you want to call it. Those are like some of those flavorings that they could get very dangerous and insane off the bat, just because you have to keep it down. Oh, really? Mike the Vaping Ape says Walmart around where he's at stops selling VG. Huh, that's interesting. Liquid Bam has a cheap starter kit. All right, cool. There you go. I mean, there's a lot of tips already coming in the chat. I appreciate you guys for that. Yeah, there's a lot of sites there. Like, there's Nicotine River. There is wizardlabs.us, I think is what it is. They're out of Florida. There is also, what is that? Bull City. They also do stuff. You guys can get some of theirs. Like, that's if you live all here in the US. Keep that in mind. Yeah. There you go. Let me see. Good advice. I think also prior planning, getting quality products ahead of time is a vapor's best skill. Pre-planning and organization. Yeah, I mean, have a game plan before you start doing anything, just to make your life easier. Keep your wallet. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people go into DIY, especially nowadays, because like when I was vaping, a lot of it was to like save your wallet mostly. But nowadays you just do it because maybe you're not finding that vape you want. And you want to try your best to find something that'll work for you, something that you know you're gonna be like, yes, that's it right there. Because I mean, I've played with some flavors that I'm just like, no. Tobaccos is something I refuse to play with. I tried it a couple of times and just no, just not happening. No matter what I do or how much percentage I go down, it just turns really, really disgusting. There you go. Reddit has some mixings. I've never actually used Reddit for mixing. I think just like Mooch on the vape forum, electronic cigarettes. I don't even remember that old vape forum. That's probably the only time I've gone into like forums. There's plenty of groups on Facebook. I know that much. I've actually gone into them, asked for advice, see what ideas I can get from people, or what kind of things. Like, there are groups for cloning. There are groups for just straight up changing ideas. They even do like kind of like weird competitions, not like actual competitions, but more or less like challenges towards each other of who can do the best with whatever, and you throw up your recipe and then other people try to duplicate it and see how they feel about it and all that kind of situation. Let me get a drink of water over here. All right, so vegetable, let me see. With any purchase of vegetable glycerin, make sure it's food grade. Some VGs is for cosmetic. Exactly. There you go. That's what I meant with the whole kosher thing. Most of those tend to be what's it called? Food grade. But and that's where like me recommending people to go to actual sites that are meant for this kind of thing is your best option. That way you're not getting something that will mess up things. That you won't end up getting something that won't be good for you and you end up getting sick or what have you. Let's see. see, this reminds me. I need. You need blue skin? Why do you need blue skin, Mike? You need to get some blue skin. Some keen action. All right. So, let me see. Any other questions you guys might have? I was going to run this out like a half hour today just because I kind of tried pre-planning for it and trying to come up with thoughts and other kind of things that I would might need to come talk about. But honestly, I feel like a half hour is kind of nice. Might keep it at that. Might go into breeze tones. I do not mix for mouth to lung setups, but it's very doable. I mean, if you're needing something from me specifically, just DM me on whatever format you can. But I really haven't played around with like mouth. Like I've actually been playing with mouth to lung stuff because my wife took up vaping because of some certain situations and stuff like that. And what's it called? I just had a brain fart. I keep having brain farts. What's it called? So like I've been trying to mess with like mouth to lung because mouth to lung is a completely different situation versus what do you call it? Just your standard e-liquid. Like I feel like I have to double up on a lot of my recipes for a 50-50 mouth to lung blend. So they tend to turn into like a whole different thing. Yeah, so yeah, okay, yeah, that's what I was explaining. Like if you're wanting to do like a recipe, you might want to like double up on your flavorings or just mess with it until you find that right spot. And that's what I've been doing. Actually, I've been trying out more mouth to lung stuff, trying to see if my juices can be more mouth to lung friendly, because for the most part I am a big setups kind of guy. This is like me right here. So I mix for that style, like high wattage, high power, big clouds and all that kind of thing. But if you're looking more for like mouth to lung, you have to play with it a little bit. And I'm actually working into going into that type of situation, see if I could be more mouth to lung friendly. Yep, there you go. Mouth to lung, you need stronger flavoring. Yep, because it's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different situation. Everything's different. Your coils aren't getting as hot. They're not having as much output. So it does change everything completely. What else? Some basic recipes. Fruit ones, dude. Honestly, you could always do like a very basic single fruit just to like play around and get like a good idea for what you're trying to do. And then eventually you could start introducing other flavors, and that way you don't have to sit around waiting on it to steep and realizing that you don't like it. You could just mix it up, try it out, and see how you feel about it. And if you want to introduce like other flavorings and stuff, the next batch you can maybe do like an apple raspberry or like peach. I will say peach. If you do peach, keep it minimal because peach tends to overtake everything in that profile whenever you're mixing it. So you know that's always one of those things. If anyone's looking for a DIY site in Canada, Broke Vapor and Dash Vapes have all that you need to get started. Big PG, Freebase, and Saltnik. Oh yeah, that's another one. Saltniks is another one that I'm trying to like mess around with. Because, well, actually, no, I tried messing around with Saltniks, didn't care for it, wasn't a fan of it. Hey, if you want to try it, I'm sure you can find some stuff on it. Like, personally, I have very little experience on that. So, you know, let's see, dude, the flavor I'm looking for in pop cereal flavor. Well, okay, if you want to spend the money, you could always do Turkish maize. Just being honest. But if you want to like DIY it yourself, I maybe I could look some stuff up for you, and I'll DM you some stuff. I'm still trying to figure out, like, for now I want to do some lives on Mondays, but I do want to maybe introduce a Monday like mixing video and that kind of thing. Or maybe I could set up, like, I need to get a secondary camera so I can set up something to where I can maybe do a live mixing while you guys hang out and chat and all that kind of situation, and you can see what I'm doing. So, you know, all that kind of thing. Let me see. Some recipes are strong enough to just mix the same and nick it at 12 milligram. Yeah, and there are some flavors that just There are some flavors out there that just are very strong. That's what I was saying. You gotta watch out what you're looking for, if it's a concentrate or just the standard one. If it says concentrate anywhere near like the description or label, know that that's gonna be a pretty high one, you know. The show could be called The Kitchen with Clown. Pretty much, yeah. What's up, Domino? How you doing, buddy? Josh Rhodes, how you doing? All right. I'm trying to think of what else. Anything else I could come up with. A lot of this is all exploration and what are you trying to find in a vape. Like for me, if you guys were to look at my liquid line, it tends to be a lot of like desserts and fruit, like desserts mostly, and that's pretty much it. Honestly, it's like desserts and pies and cakes and shit like that. But when it's more, what are you looking for as a mixer? If you want to become a DIYer, what are your goals in what you're trying to do? Let's see. Raven Shadow Vape says, for example, Floral flavors and boozy flavors are low percents. Yeah, pretty much. Like I do in my own personal stash, I make a lemon rum tea. Yeah, it's like a tea rum lemon kind of situation, and the rum part in that is very minuscule, and you could still taste it. Like it's still there. It's like a nice underlying taste, and then it has like a lemon tea, so it just kind of works out perfect for me. At least I personally like it. I don't know if anybody else does, but I make it for my own personal stash here and there. And I even have a tutorial, I think from a couple, like from this time last year or something like that, where you could see how I put it together and all that kind of situation. Let me see. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I only use Salt Nic now for my 3 milligram liquids, less muting and more flavor. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, Salt Nics can be used at your standard 3, 6, all that kind of thing. They just go bananas with it in mouth to lung pod systems for some reason. I think Juul started that and everybody just kind of went with it. But in all reality, you could use Salt Nics at any level you want. Point of Salt Nics is really just a more truer delivery system of nicotine. It goes into your system a lot better, and that's where I think anything above a 24 is just overkill. And I don't get why they keep trying to push that. Personally, just I think even 24, I think 24 to 30 is about as appropriate as I can see it, but even then that's just pushing it all together. So you could do it at a 3 and all that kind of situation. Like if you want to like play with Salt Nics, I just know like lately a lot of people have been having issues with Salt Nics, but I think it's just because who the hell needs 50 milligram? In all reality, I mean, I remember with freebase nicotines, I started at 24 and immediately worked my way down. And with 50, it's just kind of reverting. It's going back and it's a bit too much. Yeah, and there it is. Breestone says smooth Salt Nics. Yeah, Salt Nics are a lot smoother. They do mute your flavors a lot less and all that kind of thing. So it's one of those things. It's more what you're looking for. 3 for cloudy devices and 20 to 25 for mouth to lungs. And there you go. Breestone just threw it up there with the Salt Nics. And that is one of those things of to each their own. Just be aware of what you're doing. Be careful. Stay safe out there kind of thing. It's very parent-like, I know, but at a point you just gotta like make sure you're not like messing yourself up, you know? Breezy has agreed, but myself can't do them. All right, I get you, Josh Rhodes. I'm the same way out. I have some Nic Salt stuff. I mean, I've been trying out the Vaporgate stuff lately, so I have these guys right here, which is the blue and the hyperdrive. Pretty good juices, but these are 24s and they do the job perfectly fine. I don't think anything above that should really exist. Let me see. Texas Cloud Town. I was using 15 for salts, then went back to freebase, added 10 for mouth to lung. And yeah, I've noticed like that's becoming a trend where people are actually going back to freebase nicotine for mouth to lung setups, and that is one of the issues. Is a lot of people can't find like high freebase in a 50-50 blend. So it just turns into one of those things of, if more companies went back into like releasing 12s, 9s, 15s in freebase nicotine, it would be a whole different situation. But in 50-50 blends, but not a lot of people do them. So, you know, you got to do what you can with what you got. It just kind of turns into one of those situations. But DIY is a good situation to combat that. If you want to make like a high nicotine juice for like a mouth to lung setup, especially ones that can't run a 70-30, making yourself some is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? eCig Express is another good DIY supplier. There you go. That's another good one. I've never actually used them, but might check them out. That's what I'll say, Mike. Like, yeah, you can find a 12, but it's really, really hard and it's kind of a pain. So I feel like a lot of companies need to maybe come back to that a little bit, especially with so many pod systems being around. I know Nick Salts are an easy go-to, but why not expand yourself a little bit and give that choice, especially for like the ones that came out pre August 8th, 2016. They probably have on the records fucking, you know, recipes that involved a 12 milligram 50-50 blend, because before 2016, or not 2016, before 2015, things like that, a lot of companies still were making 50-50 blends and stuff like that, because everything was tiny, everything was small. Then out of nowhere, the emergence of the bigger setups like the Goon came out, and like so many products came out that just required higher mixings and lower nicotine. So they everybody kind of moved on. But, you know, they're kind of making like this kind of come around. Mr. Just Right always says that like vaping goes in trends, and we're kind of making the circle right now of everybody's going back to mouth to lungs. If you notice, at least 2018 was the year of the pod. If you guys were paying attention to how many pod systems came out last year, it was ridiculous. And the need for 50-50 blends would have been something that they could have, like, a lot of companies could have come out with their 50-50 blend recipes, and they probably would have made a killing on it, you know, with a lot of people doing all what they're doing. All right. Let me see. With all the mouth to lung systems, 12 and even 16 would be good for those setups. Exactly. That's what I was just saying. All right. Well, I'm making myself a little hoarse over here. Apparently I can't, my throat's kind of getting all weird and dry. We'll say the weather outside has been killing my allergies, and it's been torture. Yeah, 2019 is starting to be the year of the RTA, because now everybody's coming out with an RTA, and luckily they've slowed down with at least the smoke tanks. We're not seeing the TF V8 baby whatever anymore. Like, it hasn't been so bad like last year. But see, what is a flavoring that is the milk flavor that tastes like Robitussin? I find it milkman stuff, and other juices love a good milk mix, but some have chemical taste. Oh, that could be a number of things, man. I'm trying to think right now off the top of my head. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head. I know there's if you were to get condensed milk, that one is kind of a really weird one. I've tried it in a couple of my mixes, and I hated it and just can't do it. Ask any DIYer about honey as a flavoring, and all of them will tell you to go fuck yourself, because honey is just gross and it just doesn't mix well in anything. So it just kind of turns into this whole situation of, there's a bunch of them that either people overdo it with, or there are just some that just do not work, and you just have to understand the fact that they just don't work. Just because there's a lot of flavorings meant for mixing doesn't mean that they are all meant for mixing. You know what I mean? All right, guys. So I'm gonna call it here, and I'm gonna get going, because I got things to do, videos to edit, and get ready for the Ohmies, which is later tonight. Remember, we're on my channel, so you just come back here at 7 CST. Let me see. Cherries can do the same. Milks and creams give off notes. There you go. Dude, Raven, we got to talk, bro. You might need to come on. You might need to come on the show so we could chat and talk some DIY stuff. You know your stuff. He's been a great help in the chat. I might bring him on. All right, so yeah, because I'm gonna try to see if I can have some guests. I know I've already talked to Mark from the Gathering Vapor Lounge, and I want to have other people come on and give their like their experience, where they come from, why they do what they do, and all that kind of thing. And like I said, I want to bring on modders. I want to bring on coil makers, because I want everything encompassing DIY, not just e-liquids. I know that's like my main gambit, so is coils, but I want to spread out more on learning different things. I mean, that's one of those things of like, I'm big on learning and I love learning, and I just want to get as much information out there as I possibly can. All right. So yeah, clownvapes.com, self-promotion like always. Awesome show, guys. Thank you for hanging out. And as always, mix on. Yeah, I'm getting all things ready here. Vape on.